Now, The Hunt Palmer Show.
Waiting to rise again.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show. Brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the moment you've all been waiting for.
Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Not in the Mercedes-Benz Baton Rouge studio today. It's a football Friday, and we are fired up to be here at Red Stick Sports on Essen. Here a couple times a year for their tent sales. This is the 2024 fall tent sale, and you are not going to want to miss this one. I'll tell you this. My wife this morning, November 1st, the first day after Halloween, was singing Christmas carols in my house. That happened this morning. Not an exaggeration. I reject the notion because it's 80 degrees outside and we're not even close to Thanksgiving. However, she feels it's Christmas, and truth be told, it's not a terrible time to buy Christmas presents. So if you've got a youngster in your house that might want a new baseball bat or a softball bat for the upcoming spring season, no better time than right now to get into Red Stick Sports and buy one. 30 to 50% off of bats and gloves at Red Stick Sports. And I'll tell you this, some of my favorite Christmases in my adolescence were when I got that new bat. Unbelievable feeling when that thing's under the tree. You want to make that happen? Save a few bucks in the process. Get on by Red Stick Sports and make that happen. If you got LSU fans in your house, or if you are an LSU fan, which I feel like a lot of you probably are, all the LSU merchandise in this store is 25 to 50% off. Tons of it, all over the place. Hats, jerseys, sweatshirts, fishing shirts, T-shirts, all kinds of stuff right here at Red Stick Sports. Big tent out front. You won't want to miss that. And you can find everything here in the store. If you're watching us on YouTube, you can see all these LSU shirts, all this gear here. Got some short-sleeve quarter-zip pullovers for baseball season as well. All these are 30, 40% off. Fantastic deals throughout the store here at Red Stick Sports. Essen Lane, near Perkins by the train tracks. The official address there is 5770 Essen Lane. Come on by and see us. I'll be here for another 45 minutes, and then I'm headed to Rouse's from 3 to 5, where I'll be hanging out on Florida Boulevard. So come see us at Red Stick Sports. It's the 2024 Fall Tent Sale. All right, every week at this time we pick SEC games against the number. I got to tell you, folks, we are doing quite well this year based on what has been a fantastic last 4 weeks. Over the last 4 weeks, we are talking about 17, 6, and 1. 17, 6, and 1 over the last 4 weeks. We're officially on a heater. Even Beck has to acknowledge I'm on a heater. The key here is you got to keep the heater going. You never have enough. And if we can put enough behind us here, get another winning week on these 6 games, we're going to be putting 500 so far in the rearview mirror, we're not even going to be able to fall back to it. Which is probably famous last words, but let's get it started. Picking the SEC games against the spread. Let's go. All right, starts at 11 o'clock in the morning. It is Ole Miss at Arkansas. That number is 7.5. The Rebs are favored on the road. Let me tell you about this series. Ole Miss is 1-8 in its last 9 trips to Fayetteville. The Rebels have been ranked as a top 15 team in 3 of their last 4 trips. They have lost those by an average of 16.3 points per game. It has been a house of horrors for the Ole Miss Rebels. Now, Ole Miss leads the SEC in scoring defense, and Arkansas is 5th in the league in scoring offense. They absolutely almost scored 60 last week in Starkville. Ole Miss, on the flip side, has not been great on offense in SEC play. 17 in a loss to Kentucky, 27 in a win over South Carolina, 23 in regulation against LSU, 26 against Oklahoma. They're not an offensive juggernaut at this point. I think Arkansas is functional enough to stay in this. My concern is Arkansas being able to protect the passer, because I know that Ole Miss is really good up front in terms of getting after the passer, and if Taylor Green turns the ball over, they could be in some trouble. I like Arkansas in the 7.5 points. That half a point may be what saves me, but give me the Hogs plus 7.5 at home. This line is absurd. Vanderbilt is catching 8 points at Auburn. 8 points. Now, my immediate reaction is, okay, Vanderbilt just wants to run the ball. Auburn's run defense must be better than I thought. And he looked it up, and Auburn's okay at rush defense. They're 6th in the SEC in yards per carry allowed. That is not swaying me. Now, this is something to look at. Vanderbilt is number 3 in the SEC in turnover margin, meaning they don't really turn it over, and they've gotten some. And Auburn, as we know, is dead last in the SEC in turnover margin, but I don't know if that's super sustainable week over week. I don't get this line. So I'm going to take Auburn for the 50th straight week in this spot. I don't know why they're laying 8 points. It doesn't make any sense to me, but I'm going to do it. I would imagine this line should have been like 2, and it's 8. Give me Auburn minus the 8. Maine and Oklahoma, there is no line, and there shouldn't be a line, and there shouldn't be anybody watching this game because Oklahoma is terrible. They can't score. Their defense isn't nearly as good as we thought it was, and the Black Bears are not must-see television, so we're just going to skip this one. How's that sound? 2:30, world's largest outdoor cocktail party, Georgia and Florida from Jacksonville. I'm actually going to have to move that game to Tampa and Atlanta in the coming years because they're going to do some renovations in Jacksonville. But this one's in Jacksonville. Kirby has absolutely owned the Florida Gators. Georgia has won 6 of 7 in this series. Those 6 wins by an average of 22.4 points per game. It gets worse. In those 6 wins, Georgia has outscored Florida 82-7 in the first quarter. 82-7 in the first half, 125-20. They have jumped all over Florida and put their foot on their throats. That said, is Georgia dominant this year? Beat Kentucky by 1, beat Mississippi State by 10, beat Texas by 15. That was on the road. Nice effort. They're not crushing people. I think that changes on Saturday. Lay the 14.5 with Georgia. Give me the dogs. I don't buy into this Florida resurgence. I think Georgia's the best team in the country. I will take them here. UMass is at Mississippi State. Mississippi State is in a world of hurt. They've lost 6 straight games. Last week is embarrassing. They got absolutely run all over by the Arkansas Razorbacks. UMass not really in a position to exploit that bad Mississippi State defense. They're 111th in total offense. They scored 3 points on Buffalo. They scored 20 on Miami of Ohio. Scored 20 on Northern Illinois. They don't have any success in these games traditionally. They're 0-35 against the Power 4. I think Jeff Lebby gets Michael Van Buren some confidence in this game. I think they score 40 points or so. I do think they can stop UMass at times. Give me Mississippi State minus the 18.5 against the Minutemen in Starkville. Huge one, 6:30, A&M in South Carolina. I've already alerted my wife. I will have steak handy for this game. I will have a scotch handy for this game. I'm interested in this game. It is A&M at South Carolina. South Carolina wants to rush the passer. Here's the problem. A&M doesn't want to throw it. They just want to run it, so you better stop that. A&M also wants to rush the passer, and South Carolina doesn't want to pass it. However, when South Carolina has to pass it, they don't protect the passer. Only Oklahoma allows more sacks than South Carolina. With Nick Scorton coming to town, that doesn't sound like an awesome, awesome deal. This is a bad matchup for South Carolina. It just is. I don't think they're going to be able to run it straight at A&M, which they want to. I don't trust Lenora Sellers. I think A&M will get after him and sack him or force turnovers. I don't think Marcel Reed's going to win the Heisman, but I still think he's going to function this offense. I'll lay the 3 points with Texas A&M. I think I'll be in the minority there. Most people are going to be on South Carolina home dog here. I'm not. I think the Ags are a bad matchup for South Carolina. Give me the Ags minus the 3. And then the nightcap, Kentucky is at Tennessee. 17.5 is a big number, and people are taking note because 88% of the money is on the Kentucky Wildcats here. Here's the deal. We know what Tennessee wants to do. They want to hand the ball off. They want to run it. They don't throw it worth a flip. They run it great. Kentucky's run defense, 12th in the SEC. Auburn against Kentucky ran for 328. Florida against Kentucky ran for 197. Tennessee in Neyland, in Knoxville, they're going to run it. They will run it on Kentucky. I don't trust Kentucky's offense against a good Tennessee defense. I'm laying more points here, 17.5 with the Vols. Those are my picks there. I've got Arkansas catching 7.5. Auburn laying 8, Georgia laying 14.5, Mississippi State laying 18.5, A&M laying 3, and the Tennessee Vols laying 17.5. I'm once again back on my old tricks of laying points, but I think it's going to work out this week. That is my SEC picks against the spread. Bet, critique it as you might.
Well, I think I've told you before. I really don't like taking that many favorites. I am with I'm not with you on the A&M Carolina. I like South Carolina in that game, and this is gonna sound crazy, but I just don't think Mississippi State.
Do you believe South Carolina is going to run the ball on Texas A&M?
Yes.
That's the question. Okay. Well, then they can win. They can win the game if they do.
Yeah. And with Mississippi State and Massachusetts, man, for some reason I just feel like that is a sleepy game, and I can see Massachusetts hanging around that game, kind of like Texas A&M did with Massachusetts a couple of years ago, and there's no one in Kyle Field.
Look, I am a complete masochist, and misery loves company, and I listen to the podcasts of LSU's opponent that week. We don't have one. And then I listen to the Miserable Fan Base podcast every single week. And the only one I could listen to this week was Mississippi State. Everybody else was riding high. Couldn't listen to A&M. Couldn't listen to Arkansas. Ole Miss had won. Like, there just wasn't anybody I could key in that was miserable. So I listened to more Mississippi State podcasts than I'm comfortable admitting on the show this week. And multiple SEC media members said that this is not an easy win for Texas A&M, even though UMass is one of the worst teams in the country. That's how down the Dogs are. But I think because of that, Jeff Levy is going to want – I mean, they scored points on Arkansas. Like, they scored 24, and they had 2 possessions inside the 10 where they got no points. So they're going to move the ball fine. And I think they're going to score 40, 45, 50 points in this game. And I think they'll stop UMass enough to get it done. My question that I want to pose to you is, and this is impossible to do, but if I were to go back and then tell you to give me what you thought the point spread was in Vandy at Auburn, what would you have said?
I would have definitely said that Auburn would be maybe a 2-point favorite in that game.
I cannot figure out 8. That blows my mind.
Yeah, I don't understand it either. It doesn't make any sense at all. But other than the fact that there has to be something, that Vegas knows.
I continue to just hammer Auburn week after week. I feel like I'm running about 500 on it, but I everything would suggest that Vandy is the pick. And Vandy is not a flash in the pan. Every week they come out and play tough, no matter who their opponent is, unless it's a team like Georgia State. This is not Georgia State. This is Auburn. But I guess I'll take Auburn to win the game by 10. We'll see. But if I can get a over 500 week here, if I can somehow pop a 4-2, I'm guaranteed over 500 for the year.
Yeah, man, that week 6, the Costanza picks really turned the season around, and then from there you actually went with your true picks as opposed to trying to pick the opposite, and it's worked out for the most part, man. So it's hats off. I got to tip the cap to you.
Got to tip the cap. I love to hear that. If you're looking to buy a cap, come to Red Stick Sports. They're all real cheap. We're here until 3 o'clock. I'll be at Rouse's until 5 o'clock after this. But come on by and see us. It's the annual tent sale right here at Red Stick Sports. They got tons of great options for you, including backpacks, 50% off all over this wall. Great stuff here at Red Stick Sports. Take a time out. We will come back, and I want to talk about the New Orleans Pelicans very briefly before we get to Saints-Panthers, because there's been some breaking news, and it's just unbelievable. We'll do that next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com. How does valet maintenance sound? Valet maintenance. It's one of the great perks of being a Genesis driver. Nobody loves going to sit at the service aisle and get your oil changed, or get your tires rotated, or get the cabin air filter put in, or deal with the wiper blades. Like, nobody wants to do that. We're busy. You got kids. You got a job. You got places to be. You don't want to sit there and wait for your car to get fixed. Well, you don't have to with Genesis of Baton Rouge. If you purchase a Genesis at Genesis of Baton Rouge and it's time to get that oil changed, you just call them. Say, hey, oil change time. Gotcha. They will drive to your home. They will drive to your office. They will leave you a Genesis so that you have a car. They will take your car to the service aisle, which is, by the way, the cleanest service aisle I've ever laid eyes on in my life. And they will handle your maintenance, and they'll bring that car right on back. You don't lift a finger. And guess what? For 3 years, that's complimentary. It's just part of being a Genesis driver. It's an experience to be a Genesis driver. It's an experience to be behind the wheel of a Genesis. They're so sleek. They're so stylish. They're so safe. And they're so comfortable. If you haven't considered a Genesis, do so. They're on Airline Highway near Pico, right across from Women's Hospital. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge, genesisofbatonrouge.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
Hunt Palmer Show chugging along here on a Friday. Hope your work week is in the rearview mirror. If it's not, we'll get you to the finish line here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Matt Moscona coming up next at 3 o'clock for After Further Review. He'll hand it off to Cade Wassan and his cast of thousands for Louisiana Prep Preview at 6 o'clock. Get you ready for the high school football weekend. Going to be a wet one down here in Baton Rouge in South Louisiana, so Cade and company will get you ready. Catholic High football comes up at 7, and after they go final with the Catholic game, Louisiana Prep scoreboard until midnight on all the scores around South Louisiana and Louisiana as a whole. On Fridays, we are live and local from 7 a.m. to midnight here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, and we appreciate you hanging out with us. I just want to give a quick plug for LouisianaSports.net. For those that have not visited LouisianaSports.net just yet, just want to run down our homepage and what's on there right now. You got odds for College Game Day next week, with LSU and Bama on the schedule. Anissa Morrow on the preseason watch list for the Katrina McLean Award, so women's basketball there. I've got a column up that tells you who you need to be pulling for this weekend as LSU's on a bye week. We got a story on Jacobian Guillory returning to LSU for his 6th season. An exclusive interview with a Michigan reporter about Bryce Underwood and his chances to go to Michigan. Jay Johnson talking about LSU's fall baseball with Chase Shores, William Schmidt, what he's doing at shortstop. We've got numbers to know, an incredible deep dive on numbers for the SEC slate that's coming. Chris Marler's got a funny column up called Winning and Boozing, where he talks about what drinks you need to drink for the SEC week to come. We've also got the Saints injury report, which is live and up there. We've also got plenty to do with the Panthers injury report, Kool-Aid McKinstry status for this week, got some Pelicans news up. So it's all LSU football, SEC football, LSU baseball, women's basketball, Saints, and it's all in one place, and it's all free. So if you haven't checked out LouisianaSports.net, I would highly, highly recommend that you do that, because it's been great through the first 3 months. Y'all have been incredible with your support, and I know that's a lot of what y'all are interested in, because we talk about it all day, every day on this channel, and we just kind of put it right there in print form for free at LouisianaSports.net. So give it a look if you're so inclined. We'll certainly have a lot of content coming next week as LSU and Bama get set to do battle inside Tiger Stadium. I mentioned the Pelicans there, and I want to continue on that train, because I'm just shocked at what we've seen over the first 6 games for this Pelicans team. Not on the floor. None of that's been utterly shocking. The injuries are shocking to me. They have played for 2 weeks, people. 2.5. DeJounte Murray broke his hand in the opener, 4 to 6 weeks. Trey Murphy hadn't even gotten on the floor yet. He's out another month. And then in the last 48 hours, C.J. McCollum out 2 to 3 weeks, Herb Jones out 2 to 4 weeks. It's just remarkable the rotten luck this franchise seems to get itself into time and time and time again. And I just cannot expect the Pelicans to perform when you've got nobody that you expected to have out on the floor. Like, you've got 4 of your top 6 guys out multiple weeks, and it's a long season, and they've got plenty of time to make up ground. But, like, what if they just got one guy hurt at a time? What if Trey Murphy was out the first 3 weeks and just everybody else was healthy? And then when he came back, then Herb Jones went down. And then, he was out for 3 weeks, and when he came back, okay, well, look, DeJounte Murray goes down, you deal with it. It's just very difficult to play night in and night out with 4 of your top 6 out. And I'm so conflicted as I talk about these New Orleans sports teams, and I'll be very candid with you. I am conflicted because I said a month ago, I don't know how you could expect the Saints to play well with all these injuries. And then I started looking at other teams' injury reports, and I was like, you know what? Screw the injuries. Like, you just got to go out there and play. And then Carr got hurt, and then Shaheed went out for the year, and Adebo broke his leg, and you still didn't have your interior offensive line back, and Taysom wasn't playing, and then Demario Davis got hurt, and I'm just like, I was wrong. You can't expect to play great without those guys. You can't just have Zion and CJ out there trying to do everything. Like, Jordan Hawkins is going to have to step up, yes. And Yves Missy is going to be thrust into more duty. You thought you were going to have Herb to kind of play with Zion down in the post, and that you were going to play a little smaller with those guys, but you're not going to be able to do that because Herb's out for a month. And it's remarkable to me just how many key injuries the Saints and Pelicans are able to stack on top of each other. And I want to say next man up, and I want to say just deal with it. It's the NBA. It's the NFL. Next guy's got to play, and you got to put in a plan. You got to execute it. You got pros. But, man, these aren't the pros they thought they were going to have. You design a team with an identity. You realized that your main two ball-dominant players were going to be Zion Williamson and Brandon Murray. So what'd you do? You surrounded them with some guys that could really fill it up. And you brought in DeJounte Murray, who was having to defer too often to Trae Young, and now you can feature him as a guy who can knock down shots. Certainly Trey Murphy shot it great. CJ's been a good shooter in his day, and Herb's kind of your do-everything defensive guy, while Zion and B.I. create all the offense. Well, now you don't have any of the ancillary pieces you tried to put together. And we can hammer Willie Green, and we can hammer David Griffin, and you can go all the way up the top to the executives and to the ownership, but, like, what are they supposed to do? What are the Saints supposed to do? What are the Pelicans supposed to do? And I got no confidence, less than zero confidence, that in the time it takes for Herb Jones out 2 to 4 weeks, C.J. McCollum out 2 to 3 weeks, Trey Murphy hadn't played yet, and DeJounte Murray out 4 to 6 weeks, I have zero confidence that by the time those guys are able to come back, that Zion won't be on the injured list. That's going to happen eventually. It's just depressing. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't sit here and eat, sleep, and breathe Pelicans basketball. I don't grind it every Tuesday. Well, actually, on Tuesdays, I do watch because I'm at Pluckers. But I don't grind it every Thursday, every Friday night. Y'all know that. But I'd like them to win. I'd like them to be interesting. And they're not going to be interesting if they don't have any of their freaking players. It's crazy to me. I was having a discussion with a buddy of mine this week. And I cover the Saints day to day, and I'm constantly posting Ross's injury reports and practice attendance reports and all that on LouisianaSports.net. And I'm figuring out just how injured the Saints are, and Panthers are even in worse shape this week. We know the Chiefs didn't have any pass catchers. We know Atlanta was banged up when the Saints played them a couple weeks ago. When the Saints played Philly, they had no A.J. Brown. They had no Devontae Smith. They had no Lane Johnson. Like, they were in a world of hurt as well. It just feels like the professionals get hurt more than the college guys. Yeah, I know Guillory's out for the year. Perkins is out for the year. Daniels has been dealing with some stuff. You've got Dellinger that goes down with the ankle injury. Like, LSU has had some injuries, but I feel like it's a lot more prevalent in the professional ranks. I don't know if that's because 32-year-olds get hurt more often than 19-year-olds. I don't know if that's because it's more physical. I think a lot of that is. I think all that probably has to do with it, but it's just nuts how banged up, how injured, how battered and bruised the New Orleans professional sports teams have been. And it's just a super bummer because, I want to give the front offices a fair shake, the coaching staffs a fair shake, but it's just tough to evaluate them on the whole when you're that hurt all the time. No excuses for the Saints tomorrow, though, as when they travel tomorrow, they're going to go play the Carolina Panthers on Sunday. You got to win that one. I talked about it yesterday. I'll preview that game and give you my final pick when we come back. It is a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com. You a business owner? Do you have commercial insurance? Probably so. Do you think it's expensive? Probably so. Do you know what's in your policies? Maybe not. If I say EPL, do you know? If I say D&O, do you know? If I talk about what a cyber policy covers or what your umbrella limits need to be, do you know those? If you do, that's awesome. There are plenty of good people in the insurance business. There are plenty that aren't. I'll tell you some that are. The folks at the Highland Insurance Group. And Jonathan Carver and his team at the Highland Insurance Group fully believe that you've got to have someone on your team from an insurance brokerage standpoint that you can trust, that can make sure your business is in the right position when the wrong thing happens. The wrong thing can be a car accident. The wrong thing can be a cyber breach. The wrong thing can be a hurricane. If your policy is incorrect, it can really, really negatively impact your business. They want to make sure that you focus on running your business, that they focus on making sure you're protected when something goes wrong. That's the Highland Insurance Group. Check them online at highlandig.com. If you're just not sure what your insurance program says, call Jonathan Carver and his team or check them out online at highlandig.com. Let them in your door. Get with somebody that you can trust. It's Jonathan Carver and the team at the Highland Insurance Group, highlandig.com.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Quirks, Cajun fried fish and shrimp.
All right, my final segment here from Red Stick Sports on Essen. Appreciate them for having us out today. Been talking about it all show long, but want to tell you one more time about the 2024 Fall Tent Sale. 20 to 75% off the entire store. There are incredible deals all over the place, whether you're looking for tennis shoes, cleats, backpacks, LSU gear, whether you're looking at Adidas, Under Armour, 50% off of a lot of those items. LSU merchandise, 25 to 50% off. There's a huge tent out in the parking lot. They've got deals on everything. You won't want to miss it. Got a youth athlete in your family, you really can't afford not to come on in here because it's just incredible deals on basketball equipment's 20% off. Same thing with volleyball equipment. You can get baseball bats and gloves 30% to 50% off. Just great, great stuff here at Red Stick Sports. They have it 2 times a year. This is the fall version. Highly recommend you come on out. They will be open until 5 o'clock today if you can get by after work. If not, tomorrow, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., and that's when things shut down. So don't wait. Come on by here at Red Stick Sports. We certainly do appreciate them for having us out here. And always want to remind you, One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Safety is a big deal in the bathroom. It can be very hazardous, especially as folks age. Those falls can be really, really damaging. Do your best to avoid them. Put in some non-slip floors. Put in some handrails in the slippery areas like the tub and the shower. They can also do walk-in tubs to make things more convenient, safer. They can do showers with benches in them as well. You can't prevent always those falls, but you can do your best to mitigate them for sure. And David Duvall and his team do that kind of stuff at One Bath and Closets all the time. I highly recommend you go out to the website. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. You start with that free consultation, and then they get you into that bathroom that you need. They can do a full-scale renovation or remodel or just some things here and there around the bathroom if you're worried about paying for it. Financing options are certainly available. 18 months, 0% if you qualify. So get on by One Bath and Closets. Check them out online, onebathandclosets.com. Got the final injury report today for the Saints and the Panthers, and both teams really, really banged up heading into this one. I'll get you my final pick coming up, but you're talking about for the Panthers, Xavier Legette was limited in practice today. He is questionable for the ball game. Jamie Robinson with a knee is out. Tackle Ikem Ikwanu is out for Carolina Panthers. Adam Thielen is doubtful in this game. Jonathan Brooks with a knee injury, the running back, is doubtful as well. So it's questionable, I beg your pardon, but he was a participant in practice today. They're really, really banged up. For the Saints, it's really coming at one place fast and furious. They've gotten healthier on the offensive side of the ball. You're going to see Cesar Ruiz in this game. You're going to see Lucas Patrick in this game. You're going to see Chris Olave in this game. Derek Carr is very likely going to play in this game. All odds are that he's going to play. Taysom Hill has recovered as well. It's really just Shaheed and McCoy that you're missing on the offensive side. You're getting healthier there. All of the injuries that have been hammering them are really at cornerback. Marshawn Lattimore has not practiced all week. He is out for this game. Kool-Aid McKinstry has not practiced all week after being a limited Wednesday participant. He is out for this game. That is a big, big deal because now you don't have Paulson Adebo, who's out for the year. You don't have Marshawn Lattimore, and you don't have Kool-Aid McKinstry. That means you're looking at basically Alontae Taylor in this game, who is likely to be joined with guys who are coming off the practice squad, Shamar Jean-Charles and Trey Herndon. They're probably going to have to play a big role in this game in the secondary, and that's not exactly where you want to be if you're the New Orleans Saints. So it's just, if it's not one shoe, it's the other shoe for the Saints. I just talked about this in the last segment with the Pelicans, but we didn't have the injury report. It's just come up, and I'm checking that over at LouisianaSports.net. So secondary, big issue for the Saints. Tyrann Mathieu was sick earlier this week. He is expected to give it a full go in this game. Enrico Payton is questionable. He's got a back injury. He's a special teams guy, but he's helped a little bit at cornerback as well, so he may not be able to go. The Saints are going to have to elevate some guys off the practice squad. I'll tell you this, though. One thing that gives me a little bit of solace in that is that the Saints have done a very good job under Dennis Allen of evaluating and developing defensive backs. And a lot of those guys have been high picks. Lattimore was a high pick. Alontae Taylor was a high pick. Adebo was a high pick. But they've done a good job of hitting on those. And they've also gotten some guys to play in free agent roles and smaller roles that have been pretty good as well. So that's one thing that Dennis Allen has done well. Say what you will about him. He has done pretty well as far as identifying defensive backs. They're going to be put to the test for sure from a depth perspective tomorrow. The good news is Panthers, without Thielen, with Bryce Young at quarterback and as big a mess as they are, not necessarily in a huge spot to exploit that. You'd love it if you were a Saints fan if Xavier Legette did not play. That remains to be seen coming up on Sunday. So that's kind of your injury report as you get ready for Saints and Panthers. Since I'm going to duck out a little bit early here from Red Stick Sports and Matt's going to do some take it or leave it with Jacob Beck, I will instead pick the game right now. All right, let's get to it. I think this is a must-win for the Saints. I talked about it, and I just don't see another way. We can talk ourselves into the Saints being a relevant franchise if they get this done today and on Sunday, and you see Tampa lose in a very losable game and the Falcons lose to Dallas, which I don't see as losable, but it's a 3-point number. We'll see what happens. I don't think that's going to happen down the road, but here's the deal. If you lose to Carolina, there's no coming back. You cannot come back from that. That is the worst franchise, the worst team in the league, and you're just not going to be able to respond from that. So you've got to go out there and win this football game at all costs. Carolina's defense has been terrible. I laid this out for you at the end of the last hour, where Bryce Young is bordering on all-time futility as a starter. He could be, after this game on Sunday, 2-18, would only be the third quarterback since 1970 to be 2-18 through 20 starts. And the guy, David Newton, who covers the Panthers, says the defense is worse than that. And that's just shocking stuff. So with Derek Carr back, your offensive line, 4 of 5 starters in there, with Olave back and Hill back and Kamara ready to go against the worst run defense in the NFL, the Saints should run the ball like they did in the opener, and they should find some success through the air. As far as on the other side of the ball, you're not stopping the run. You should against Carolina. And yes, the Saints are in rough shape at a cornerback spot. I just told you that entire story. But I just don't think Bryce Young is capable of exploiting that. I think he's just awful. The Saints sacked him 4 times in the opener. The Saints picked him off twice in the opener. I can see a scenario where the Panthers move the ball a little bit. That's plausible to me. I can't see a scenario where the Panthers light it up the way that a lot of teams have against the Saints the last few weeks. I don't think they can move the ball like Tampa did in the Dome. I don't think they'll have the ease of time that the Chargers did moving up and down the field. Justin Herbert had his best game of the year. I don't see that as a possibility. I think that Dennis Allen will have his team ready to play and focused. They want to get this taste out of their mouth. They are sick of losing 6 straight games. They want to get back on their winning ways, and this is the best team to do that against that's remaining on the schedule. It's the best team to do that against in the entire National Football League. So my suggestion would be to get that done, and I think that the New Orleans Saints will win the ball game coming up on Sunday. I've got this thing as a final of 28-16. It's not an absolute runaway, but I do think the Saints cover that 7-point number. It's shocking that a team that is a loser of 6 straight is a touchdown favorite on the road in the National Football League, but that's a testament to how bad a disaster the Carolina Panthers are right this very second. So for me, I like the Saints to win 28-16 in this one and get back on track for 1 week at the very least. We'll see if they can get some of those defensive backs back for next week when you crank the schedule back up to a reasonable level as far as the NFL goes. So that's my pick on Sunday. We'll see how things go. Going to be a fun fun day of SEC football tomorrow. I gave you all my picks at the top of hour number 2, and hopefully we have a winning week. Come on by Red Stick Sports. The fall tent sale is today until 5 o'clock, tomorrow from 9 to 2 o'clock. 20 to 75% off everything in the store. It's just a sale you will not want to miss, whether you're shopping for yourself or shopping for the kiddo or youth athlete in your life. Red Stick Sports right here on Essen is the place that you have got to be. And always want to give a shout out to our friends over at Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. They bring you our Friday shows each and every day. If you're watching football weekend and don't want to get off the couch, you know you're not tailgating, what a better spot than Cork's. You can get on by and get their tailgating specials: crispy, clean, fried catfish, jumbo Gulf shrimp, crispy shoestring fries, the honey butter rolls. Got your hush puppies. They've also got fantastic po' boys over at Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. And they can do catering, whether you want to feed the office, feed the tailgate party for Bama next week, or you just want to stop by and get some lunch or dinner. They're on Government between Foster and Jefferson. Great, great sponsors here of the Hunt Palmer Show. Love our partnership with Corks, and want you to go check those guys out when you get a chance. It's a nasty, nasty weather day out there, so I hope you all are being safe on the roads. I am headed to Rouse's. I'll be at Florida Boulevard until 5 o'clock. Hope you can come by and see us there. I'm going to step aside. Nat Moscona is going to play some Take It or Leave It with Jacob Beck, and then he will come with you all the way home for 3 to 6 on After Further Review. Don't forget Cade Wassan and his team with some high school football later today. I am done. We'll see you Monday on the Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show. The Hunt Palmer.
Electrical Services. Neil and Melissa have been running things at Boudreaux's Electrical for 40 years. If you want a Generac home standby generator, you need to call the folks at Boudreaux's Electrical. They've had the same phone number for 40 years. You've been doing something for 40 years, you probably know what you're doing. Down in the 985 in Napoleonville, 985-397-1562. In the 225, the Gonzales location, 225-300-9389. That's 300-9389. I give you the easy way every day as well. It's BoudreauxElectrical.com. Give yourself the peace of mind of knowing that you're not going to have to deal with power outages because you're protected with that home standby generator from Generac. Right now, we've got a nasty storm blowing through all the time. These knock the power out in the middle of the day. If you work from home and can't afford to not be productive, or if you just don't want the nuisance of the power going out, Boudreaux's Electrical can help you out with all of that. 7 to 10 year warranty on every Generac home standby generator that they sold you. BoudreauxElectrical.com is the website. It's Boudreaux's Electrical.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
All right, wrapping up Hunt Palmer Show here on a Friday. Hunt's got a lot going on, man. He was out at Red Stick Sports. He's running over to Rouse's. So he was like, hey, Scone, can you do the last 10 minutes? I was like, okay, I'll hang out with Beck and Cassie. Cassie and I can talk about Taylor Swift, and Beck can try to keep us on time. Cassie, what's your favorite Taylor Swift song ever?
Ooh, ever?
Yep, favorite one ever.
That's so hard. Off the bat, I think I have to go with Trouble.
Okay. Hey, Evermore. Or no, Folklore. Take it or leave it.
I don't like folklore.
Me either. See, leave it. That's what I'm saying.
Come on, man.
We got this. Cassie and I have this synergy going right now with Taylor Swift. I went to the show last Friday. You went Saturday. You went Saturday. Beck, what do? Do I just say let's do Take It or Leave It? Is that what I do?
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay, let's do Take It or Leave It.
All right. Alrighty, first one
there's
here.
no like intro to it or anything?
No, we just play this. We play this song.
Oh, we got to get a little intro written.
Yeah, maybe so.
Cassie. The big flowery things coming out of the stage at the very beginning of the show. You know what I'm talking about? Take it or leave it.
I'll take it.
You'll take it?
I'll take it.
Oh, she'll take it. Beck, would you take that or leave it?
I don't really care, so I'll take it.
I'll take it. Yes, Miss Americana and the Heartbreak Prince?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the first song. Tell you what. That Tay-Tay, she puts on a good show, doesn't she, Cassie?
Oh, yes.
Heck of a show. Probably about an hour too long for my liking.
For your liking, yes, but not for everyone else there.
Bro, 3.5 hours. That's a workout. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, anyway. All right, what you got over there?
All right, so Hunt actually prepared most of these. I got one or two in here, but the first one, no one drinks wine on Whiskey and Wine, so he came up with some alternative names for the show. So we'll just do these quickly. Whiskey and whatever T-Bob is drunk on. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave it.
Okay.
I think branding matters.
Yeah.
For example, what's the most famous shoe brand in the world?
Nike.
Right. What does Nike have to do at all? Do you know what Nike has to do at all with sneakers or anything like that?
What do you mean?
Do you know, like, the brand affiliation?
Yeah.
Do you know?
No.
Okay. Well, if you want the story, I'll give it to you very quickly. So, Pheidippides, this was back in the ancient...
Well, I know Nike is the goddess of victory.
So, I'll tell you the story here.
Okay.
Beck. If you want to just let me hang on here, I'll tell you the friggin' story. So, Pheidippides, when there was some war going on, runs 26.2 miles, like from Athens, from the battle site to Athens. He yells, Nike, whatever, which means victory, meaning they had won the war, then he dropped dead. Well, that was the distance of a marathon. Bro, that was it. It was from Marathon. That was it. It was from Marathon to Athens. It was 26.2 miles. And so that's why it's called a marathon. And so it was running. So when Phil Knight made running shoes, he used Nike. The swoosh was just something some lady came up with. She didn't get royalties.
Yeah, that
on
was.
it.
Yeah.
Should have. I think he paid her like $25 or something like that. Anyway, but all that to say, nobody knows that, but you've associated the brand with the product, and so people associate whiskey and wine with the show of me and T-Bob. Basically, me trying to keep the thing on the rails, and T-Bob being a giant jackass. And people watch for whatever reason, but I'll be darned, Beck. They do watch.
Well, Hunt had about 4 other names, but with that answer, I guess we'll just go and move on.
I'd love to hear the other.
The other one's whiskey and what the hell did T-Bob just say, as you just mentioned?
That's just not going to fit on the YouTube.
Yeah, it's a little bit too long.
Yeah.
For wins, whiskey and winning, and then for losses, whiskey and whining.
So we need more consistency.
Yeah, you can't really be changing the title every week. But.
I agree.
All right, next one. Dennis Allen will be fired before Christmas. Take it or leave it.
I'm gonna leave it.
Yeah.
I just don't think. Is there a thing for leave it or just?
We just leave it.
Oh.
Yeah.
They've just given no indication as an organization that they're willing to fire him.
Yeah.
Even at the end of the season, let alone during the season. I mean, he said this week that they're not going to be sellers at the deadline. So I think he's going to finish the season, and hopefully they can him after that.
Yep. Next one here. Spencer Rattler has started his last game as a Saint. Take it or leave it.
I like that one a lot. I'm going to leave it.
Yeah.
Because I think, well, you know what the better question would be? Does Derek Carr start every game the remainder of the season?
Yeah.
I just don't know that I believe he'll stay healthy enough to do that. So I think one of the other guys will probably start sometime in the next 10 weeks. But do you think they'd go Hainer?
Probably. I don't know. It's like he's been the backup every week, but then they start Rattler, so I'm confused. I don't know.
That's a little weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
See, I get it in a game week though, because like remember they did this with Taysom and Jameis.
Yeah.
So when Breeze got hurt mid-game, they put Jameis in, but the next week they started Taysom. This would have been back in 20.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Some guys you feel like they need the full week to prepare. Some are better maybe in a spot duty, but I don't know. I guess leave it is my answer.
Yeah, I would probably leave it as well.
I'm just going to take something so I can hear you play the Mississippi State guy. I'll take it.
All right. Well, the next one you'll probably take because Herb Jones, as Hunt mentioned in the last segment, Herb Jones out 2 to 4 weeks. CJ McCollum out 2 to 3 weeks. Trey Murphy's still out.
Yeah.
There's something in the water in New Orleans, apparently. The Saints and the Pelicans. Like, what is going on here? Take it or leave it.
Wait, what am I taking or leaving?
There's something in the water in New Orleans.
Oh, the water in New Orleans is awful.
It's not good.
There's a lot of stuff in that water.
So I guess we'll take it.
I'll take it. By the way, have y'all explained that drop, like, of what that is?
Hunt maybe has at some point. I don't know though.
Do you know what it is?
Well, yeah, it's a former coach. I don't remember. I thought it was
when Mississippi State won the baseball national championship. Right, first thing they've ever won in the history of their ever. Like it was a bang bang play at first base for the final out, and that's the radio guy's call of them ever. It's like, they say it's out. Oh, we win. Well, I'll take it. Like that is the national championship call. Play it again. I'll take it. That's the national championship call from Mississippi State winning their first title in anything ever. It's just the guy like, I'll take it. We win. I'll take it. Crazy.
All right, let's try to get a couple more here. With games against Georgia and Texas coming up, Billy Napier will be fired before LSU and Florida play. Take it or leave it?
Leave it.
All right. Christmas music on November 1st. Take it or leave it?
I'll leave Christmas music on any day. I do not want any of it ever.
Okay, that's fair.
Cass, do you agree? Unless if it's a Taylor Swift Christmas album, right?
Well, yeah, but
Does
I
she
like
have one?
Christmas music.
Does she have a Christmas album?
She does.
Oh, I never heard it.
It's good.
Surprisingly.
All right, last one. Terrio will be on time and prepared today. Take it or leave it.
On time, I'll take it.
I'll take it.
Prepared, I'll leave it. Or leave it.
That's take it or leave it.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show. Have a wonderful weekend. I'm not going anywhere but Cassie and Beckett to leave, so just stay here.
The Hunt Palmer Show.